it's great to hear kind of the tactical and the preparation and how you kind of run that part of your job. But it'd be very helpful for our viewers to kind of hear if you can give us an example of two about how you did deploy some digital technologies and how you did change process and work with people to kind of create some growth. Are you comfortable sharing something with us?
Oh, yeah, there's a couple of examples I can definitely share. So a key plank of our digital transformation is making it easier or giving consumers more choice as to how they acquire our great products. Okay, so one of the obvious things is, as a traditional consumer goods manufacturer, traditionally we sell through retail. So clearly it was apparent, 5, 6, 7 years ago that there was an increasing trend towards manufacturers thinking about going direct to consumer while still respecting and partnering with their retail partners. So it's an omni-channel approach, if you like. So we certainly talked about it a lot, and in collaboration with my colleagues who run the UK and the Canadian businesses, it was felt that the time was right for us to try something, to see, could we change our websites essentially into e-com sites and see what we could sell on there, while carefully making sure pricing didn't undercut our retail partners, etc. Fast forward, that was if you like, almost a proof of concept. We're now at the point where we've got about 30 sites across different brands, different countries, which do a reasonable revenue, but I think more importantly, they offer more value to a consumer going on our site. If somebody wants to buy a Cuisinart and they think, well, I'm an Amazon Prime member, but just let me check about the details on the manufacturer's site, then they can also see a price on there and say, well, actually, I can do better than that elsewhere. But net, they're still more engaged, and it helps inform their path to purchase. For those reasons, we've persevered with direct-to-consumer, both on our behalf. I think the other more interesting flavor of this that came along a little bit later, that has involved us in a lot of technology changes as well, was the realization that we had a good competency to fulfill small orders, get them out as parcels, get them to people's houses. So maybe there's a great opportunity for us to help our retail partners fulfill some of their orders. So this is called drop ship to consumer inside the industry. And so we have been able to do both of these things. So again, giving the consumer more choices to where they're procuring this from, but also obviously in the case of us drop shipping, simplifying the process. So somebody buys it on a retailer website, and unbeknownst to them, the retailer never actually sees the product. It goes direct from our warehouse to the buyer. So that has obviously got a lot of benefits, both to us in terms of improving the partnership with our retail partners, and also to them in terms of speed and cash flow. They don't have the cost of warehousing this. So those two flavors of supplying direct to consumer have definitely helped us, and from a sort of hard revenue growth perspective, but also from the sort of virtuous effect of partnering even closer with our retail partners.
And that's a slippery slope, right? I'm glad your partners were open and are benefiting from it, because that could be tricky.
Right, exactly. And there were technology, investments behind that, obviously for an e-com platform, which we didn't have before. There was also a lot of operational investment in terms of building a distribution center that was purpose-built for direct-to-consumer versus the other ones we had, which were great, but they were developed earlier, more at the sort of full case level of product. So a lot of investment over a period of time, and we've as this is the pandemic, basically, if we ever had any doubts about this direction, the pandemic has shown that the power of online purchasing of products.
Were there new technologies or specific digital technologies that were kind of key to you making this successful?
Yeah, I mean, it's still an ongoing journey, because as all of us who are involved in online selling know, there's new tech comes out all the time to help that process. But for us, given we didn't have any of this before. It started with an e-commerce platform where we selected one that had an open ecosystem of partners and was at the time, I think the only cloud native one, which was Demandware, now known as Salesforce Commerce Cloud, following the Salesforce acquisition. So that to us was completely new. Obviously, it was also a total SaaS purchase, so it helped us from no worries about scalability or privacy issues or any of that, because we're working with a major provider to handle all of that for us. But around that, and that's why I stress the open ecosystem idea, we have a lot of add-on things that, can be anything from products that help us pull in reviews posted publicly by consumers of our products, through to things that allow us to have add-on functionality, like potentially selling subscriptions for some of our products, or links into social media analytics platforms, and the list continues and continues. There was payment gateways, fraud protection. Unfortunately, that's a never-ending sort of battle to stay on top of that. So there's a lot of add-on products. So we are deploying new technologies embedded inside that, not technologies we've built, but technologies our tech partners have built. So a good example would be we're using an Israeli product to block bots from our sites. Sites are often targeted by people trying to not really denial of service, more let's see what we can do to try and place some fraudulent purchases, and let's use bots rather than doing it ourselves. So that's an important part of our defenses. So that would be so there's a lot of embedded AI in some of these products.
Any mistakes, in kind of retrospect, mistakes that you made that you would do differently, or kind of main lessons?
Yeah, I think like many of these things, it's hard up front to accurately, if it's a line of business you've not been in before, it's hard up front to accurately figure out, well, how much are we going to need from an inventory perspective for this? How many people are we going to need? How is it going to grow? It's very hard to forecast when it's a new channel. So I wouldn't call them mistakes. It's an ongoing challenge to keep up with. How should we think about this business, this sort of fledgling direct-to-consumer business of our own, and then this fulfilling on behalf of our retail partner, plus our own traditional selling to retail? How do we blend those three together to get an accurate forecast for our manufacturing partners, and then also to correctly manage and staff up for peaks and troughs in demand inside our warehouses? And all of that was complicated before, and then the sort of roller coaster of the pandemic has made it very tricky last year. We are fortunate that Cuisinart has turned out to be a brand that people really want those products right now, that there's a lot more cooking at home and so on.
Have you deployed, or do you have plans to deploy anything like any AI, any like automation systems to this, or maybe even some edge computing with, tied back to
analytics? So far we've focused on deploying AI as it's embedded in existing products rather than building something ourselves. So a lot of these D2C projects got a lot of things in there. We're enhancing our overall AI capabilities in a couple of ways. We're trying to provide a better next generation dashboards for our sales team. We're working with Domo on that. We're also recently started with SAP's latest analytics cloud running on the HANA real-time database platform. So we are looking at what are we doing already? How do we, as part of this digital transformation, how do we modernize to take advantage of these technologies without necessarily building something from scratch ourselves? I will, though, give you a quick example of something we have built, which is an app that allows a hairstylist to customize their tools. So, if somebody in IT, for me, my laptop's like one could argue is my key tool. Well, if you're a hairstylist, obviously it's your dryer, it's your trimmer. So trimmers, we've got an an app which allows a hairstylist in 3D to design the trimmer in terms of picking colors, spinning around to see what it looks like, picking blades, etc. And then we custom assemble it for them. Obviously from a selection of parts, but the combinations are a lot of combinations. So that, as an app, in order to get that sort of 3D look, we had to use some, fairly decently advanced technology.
Yeah. Are you seeing that's enhancing your customers' experience or driving new revenue?
Both, actually, yes. We started out experimenting with it at trade shows. Remember those, when we could all go to a centre? Well, hairstylists have those. So we started out with the idea that this might attract their attention at a crowded trade show. And we also had the parts there, and we'd assemble it during the show. So we did it at a show, then the pandemic hit, so we moved it online. And we found that, yes, it's definitely got people's attention as something a bit cool to do. It's got that, I guess it's got that sort of gamification aspect to it as well, also the uniqueness of it. If somebody chooses, they can have a yellow and purple trimmer with, a different kind of blade. And again, like I say, these are the tools of the trade. These are not something that, you use once a day for a couple of minutes. They're interacting with it all day. So there's a good opportunity for them to feel that they've put their stamp, as it were, on what they're using.
Fantastic. That sounds so. Congratulations on that. That truly was a transformation of your business. It sounds like.
Yeah, on a small scale. Yes, exactly.
Well, even beyond the app, with just the e-commerce site and
Yeah.
the way you're dealing with your channel partners, that's just pretty significant. And all that happened within the last 12 months.
Yeah, well, we started on the e-com journey about 4 years ago, but it's definitely scaled up. The app happened in the last 12 months, and definitely the scale up into more brands, more sites occurred in the last 18 months.
Wow, congratulations on that. So thank you once again for very generously sharing with me and with the viewers. We appreciate it, and I learned quite a bit. So thank you.
You're welcome, Keith. Thanks for the opportunity.
Hope you heard a few things that triggered some new thinking for you. We do these conversations on IT topics weekly, so please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you get updates on new content, as well as you can post comments and, more importantly, suggest topics that you'd like us to address. You can see that we have some pretty amazing resources. So please let us know how we can help you on your upcoming digital transformation and enterprise IT projects. Thanks very much. Until next time.